So on behalf of the Woodbury Poetry Room, we thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tongo. I'm just going to read this little ditty I wrote and say a couple poems for Nikki and get on out the way. It's early morning, and Nikki Giovanni's poems, along with my daughter's new power of infant expression, move together around what light in the room the fog allows. And I aspire to be reminded of spear edges, positionless freedom fighting, what might translate to that mass coordination finally for children in a world where settler colonial jollies become jet fuel and carnage. A brilliant poet's mind and heart conversely flung back through the sky. It's early morning, and I'm hoping my writing legs can carry me further to do justice to this giant's giant. We are born in captivity, admirers of lightning, precinct hanging fruit, born one foot in the grave, the other on a church organ pedal, talking numbly to God or even too late. To the ghost of the entire universe, no inspiration louder than working class back pain, or put another way, where the color of the cop killer don't matter. Half of our apartment building rotating in and out of a hospital, our families' lives thrown in to sweeten weapons deals, grandmothers, initiates looking up at the mysteries of eternity become flesh, become exhaustion. Quote, I know crying is a skill. It's late afternoon in the alternative to incarceration program I teach in, and Nikki Giovanni is all I'll need for a month. Love poems, in fact, all we need to accompany us through this warehouse next to a warehouse. We will be the wind soon, lessons of the saddened stomach, and she is right there with us at these crossroads, beat us to these crossroads, in fact. Waiting to pass us swords, our eyes burning now like instruments in the sky, making a mess as mediums with our big fish fever dreams, needing her strength, cleansed from cities, needing her imagination, our house keys changed forever. Quote, we must feel and inflict pain. My daughter has set me on fire. Has she captured the crux of life yet? Does my winter daughter have a favorite color? The sun, only a wood carving. I can write my heart only. And in the coat of an infant sleeping pattern, these Giovanni poems swell a dream and prepare people. In the poem Alabama, she writes, sister, she called to me, let me tell you, my feet seem more than your eyes ever gonna read. I sang to my daughter her good deeds, falling through space. Briefly, I'm a writer here. Ms. Giovanni. I am sitting in this chair, fully beaten. But I will go fight, even without strength. And if God would allow us to keep talking, we will make all things new. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative. All over the United States, there are toddlers in the rock. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history or take the glass freeway. White skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up, house of God in part, no cops in part, my body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets, pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark, extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration, the waistband before the next protest poster. By the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your deaths for last. You're a witty, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. It's only raining one thing. Non-white cops and prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill. The neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise. A new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder, the figment of village. A new noose to a new white preacher, all in an abstract painting of a president. Bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tanted screeches of military boats and election Tuesday cars, a cold-blooded study in leg irons, proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses, that sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque peach plastic and boat action audiences. The Medgar of a second is definitely my favorite law of science. Fondle news clippings and primitive Methodists, my arm changes imperialisms. Simple policing versus structural frenzies. Elementary school script versus even wider white spectrums. Artless bleeding and the challenge of watching civilians think. Terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads in the arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war, well, with their T-shirt poems and T-shirt guilt, and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls for signs in my life. You know, these little societies, they wander together like hopeful drops of a virus. Citizen testaments bent on offering me, a nation of breadwinners to hold me back, like it's a Brinks. I wrinkle the concrete sometimes like flesh. My Martin Luther King permanence turned away from a podium into the reeds like God is a dangerous twin. Black August to the mountaintop balcony on my bedroom floor. You know they steal you from the earth itself and suspend you in your broken neck from their foolish euphoria. From the loyalty oath of their gray superstition, loyalty oath of their agrarian reform, I returned to my mother completely disrespected. For peeling the heat off of purgatory, they kill poets like me. Walk me away from my poems, never to be heard from again. In this foul industrial complex of bloodlines picked over, picked through, a sport and spiritual death of your devil at least half made, police become a pretty word. I'm reading a lynch mob shoestrings like they were tea leaves, teaching you how to write about cities. It's the 20th century in the mirror, people. Tyranny against your chump change and your chump to be mocked even with a gun in your car. A cubit of needlework spelled tune for the proletariat, the relapse ministry. Talented people curled up in the fetal position next to a diamond dime. Just another service day in the theatrics of tea house fascism and a bouquet of surveillance cameras in the poverty of God. New blue eyes, courses of water, a newly potted presidency, a one big shiny corn if you ask, animated capitalism and other non-literal voids killing this white freedom, the deification of hyphens, medicine bread and picture shows, great protests in L.A., guests of our ink, drop-kicking roses in the graveyard, D.C., you know, like a stone torn in half, the pen advances, despite CIA guideposts, despite non-African past and futures, a metaphorical but not surreal day in a horn-ridden life, horn player improvising king, like a radio prize fight featuring Shango himself, a real hand sweeps the land of racism. May I return to the ground? May I make progress with the gun? On our mother Emmanuel, they put on music that evening. A swinging type body language for you to drink with fermented $5 bills. For your body language, some applause, my past stomach line, and neither a good thing nor a bad thing like being psychic on the way to a lethal injection. And to sit you down with Lady Day. Lady Day leading youth who surrendered their souls to Africa too soon. Polity thought floating in the cup of water, she saved me. Accessing my stomach, accessing the love of the American lynched. Coat sleeves, wooden avalanche to the wrist. Our mother Emmanuel, avalanche to the sharp keys. Pain, or the deal you make with pain. A piano makes sense for them. Laying hands on the world gradually. Addressing the bending necks on the streets of the north. Traveling, sailing in pain, repeating pain in the north. 10 trigger fingers on that piano if harmony would have me. Putting 100 fights on every direction offered a Lady Day. Leaning on trees again. Recruiting the countryside itself, saying, lay your planet on this lightning. Make your poems a corner pocket of men. I've greeted the blues itself. America may clean my dead body, but will never include me. There goes the poet. Killing without killing. Never mind this little painting of your language. May I be a meaningful lynching. A crow's passing. Good and dead by the afternoon. Oh, I much love and man. Do a backflip, everybody, right now for Nikki Giovanni.
I want to be Caitlin Clark when I grow up. She was just wonderful. I hope they win. And maybe not, for those of you who are for somebody else. I have bronchitis, and I do not recommend it. It is the most miserable fucking disease. and it just hurts everywhere. So I apologize if I sound weird or something. I am, and I want to share this with you, a Fisk University graduate, finally. I did get kicked out of school, but I had enough sense to know that it was my fault, and so I went back. As we know, Fisk University was created by General Fisk and other people who helped in 1865. And we know that Fisk was going bankrupt. And in going bankrupt, they had to find money, because money, I think, does make a difference, but there's a limit to what you do with money. But they had to find money. There was a wonderful woman named Ella Shepherd, and she went to General Fisk and said, how can we help? Obviously, we want the school to continue. And General Fisk, and I say this with no disregard, looked at a young black woman and said, there's nothing you can do. How are you going to find any money? And she said, well, we can sing. And he said, nobody is going to pay you any money to sing. And she said, yes, sir. And that's all you can say. And so she left his office and, of course, knew that he was wrong and called her friends who had been meeting every Friday, and they had been playing music. They had been playing the spirituals. And she said, we've got to do something to save Fisk. And they got together, and they were going out on the road. They were going to sing. They were going to sing in churches. They were going to sing in community halls, actually. And they weren't, of course, going to make any money. But a gentleman named George White, that is his name, Mr. White, recognized, if I let these 9 black youngsters at the end of the Civil War go out on the road, some white people are going to kill them. So he went out, and people assumed that those 9 black kids were his, and they were not going to bother. And they went south, and they were not making any money, and they turned north, and they were not making any money. And the one day that they made a little money was the day of the Chicago fire. And they made enough money, they decided that they would, in fact, get enough money to eat, because they hadn't had a decent meal. And then they sent the rest of that money to Chicago to help those people. And I've always been so very proud of them, because black people are great people, and very few people would have done what they did. And they continued on north, and they finally got up to Wilberforce. The congregational ministers were meeting in Wilberforce, and they got up in Wilberforce, and Miss Shepherd said to her group, we've been singing these songs that Mr. White wants us to sing, because he thinks that these are the songs that should be heard. We know that these are not the songs that will help us. And they walked into Wilberforce, they walked into the church, and of course you get 9 black kids walking into anything. Everybody stops. Everybody looked. And Miss Shepherd and her group broke into spirituals, and they had never heard anything like that. For, I guess, love of God, one of the things that helped was they now, in their audience, had a gentleman named Reverend Beecher, who is the brother of Harriet Beecher Stowe. And he said, my goodness, that's wonderful. If you come to New York, he said that, of course, to Mr. White, if you come to New York, I will see to it that you make a lot of money. You come to my church, you will. And they did make it to New York, and they, of course, got a lot of money, because he is the president, or the, what do you call him, minister of the church. But God is good, as we in the black community say. And so one of the people in his church, one of the times, was Lord Hithenbarger. And he said, my goodness, my cousin should hear this. And his cousin happened to be, of course, Queen Elizabeth. He said, come to London, and we will take care of you. they went to London, and of course, Queen Victoria was thrilled. And in those days, you didn't talk, you and I would never talk to the throne. And so when Queen Victoria looked down and said to them, "Why, where are you from?" And Ella Shepherd answered, "Nashville, ma'am." And she said, "Well, that must be a musical city." And Nashville became the music city because of that. They stayed, of course, in London for over a year. A couple of the people stayed in London, period. They were not coming back to the United States, and I can't say that I blame them. But the singers continued. They were the fifth singers then, but in honor of Queen Victoria, they changed it to the Jubilee Singers. She awarded them, and everybody wants to say she gave them, but she didn't give them, they earned it. If you're going to be bothered with royalty, and you have to be bothered with all these people you don't know, and all of a sudden you have to find a way to deal with them. But they did, and she awarded them 50,000 pounds, which they sent back to Fisk and built Jubilee Hall. I have been and remain very disappointed that there is no statue of Ella Shepherd at Fisk University in the Oval, because it is her desire to save that school that made that school possible. I'm very, very proud of what she did. And I say this because as Fisk grew, we had one, I say we, as a Fiskite, we had one important thing to do. We wanted to be an intellectual school. We wanted to be a university, which we worked on and became. We wanted to be we wanted to, and we were the first black school to have a PhD chapter, and we were really proud of that. And speaking as a Fiskite, we wanted to be the Harvard of the South. We looked at Harvard as what we wanted to be. And I must say that every Fiskite has a broken heart for the way you treated Dr. Gay. Could have done better. However, you could have done better. And we look at Harvard, they needed the money, but so did Judas. But at least Judas had the sense to recognize, I shouldn't have done that. So did Pontius Pilate, who sat there with four men, and 3 crosses. And he's trying to figure out, what am I going to do with them? And somebody said, ask the people. And the people said, give us Barabbas. What kind of sense does that make? So Pontius Pilate said, oh, okay, give me some water and a towel, and I will wash my hands of this, as if you could be innocent for throwing an innocent man away. And I will say again, Harvard should be ashamed of itself. You should. So I was glad. I'm sorry I'm sick, but I was glad to be invited here just to share that, because we looked up to Harvard. We wanted to be like you. We wanted to make a difference in the world. And we wanted to, when you could say you were a Fiskite, you were saying something. We were, my grandfather was a Fiskite in 1905. We were so proud of W.E.B. Du Bois, who was accepted at Harvard. We were so proud of him. And it wasn't because other people couldn't have been. It was because of prejudice, but we continued to fight to get that done. Alain Locke started, of course, the Harlem Renaissance. We were so proud of that. I graduated in 1968 finally, but we could have done better. And this is something Harvard has to think about. What do you want to be? Because you got to do better than just getting rid of people because somebody offers you a couple of $1 million. Go find a song to sing and see who will at least drop something in the bucket. You can do better. Thank you. That's the worst thing about bronchitis is that you can't breathe. I'm sorry. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert. With a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes, I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle, so swift, you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son, Hannibal, an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built a new ark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intoned my loving name. All praises, I am the one who would save. I sowed diamonds in my backyard. My bowels delivered uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned, and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal, I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky. I was some of you may be jazz people, and there's a wonderful, he plays bass, guy, Chris McBride, and he's an old, and I must say, dear friend. And I was with Chris, he called and said, you come. He comes out of Newark. And he said, Nikki, will you come, and read some poetry? I said, sure, because I like Chris. But I forgot, with jazz people, you have all of these wires. So you walk out on stage, and it's a million wires. And I'm a Delta, of course. And my sorors were sitting in front of me. And I had a glass of water, because you've seen the jazz people, they all have glasses, not glasses, but they're all drinking water. And I had water. And I turned it over like this, but it spilled. And my sorors thought, oh my God, we're gonna watch Nikki be electrocuted. Because all of the, and so I've never, ever taken any water on stage again, but bronchitis. I actually think 80 is kicking my ass. I'm 80, and I would normally say I recommend it, but the alternative is not attractive. But it really worries you sometimes. You're sitting there thinking, well, I'm 80, and if I spill this, we don't have that many wires here, but if I'm on the, what would happen? I'm standing on stage, and I get electrocuted, and everybody says, damn, she got electrocuted right there. And That's going to be a bad thing. And I'm sorry I have to keep coughing because that's what it does to you. And I just have to keep apologizing. This is Stardate 18628.190. And you just saw Going to Mars because I'm a space freak. And I think it's a really good, I think we have to stop thinking that the only life forms in the galaxy are human. It's illogical. Obviously, there has been, evolution all the way. And there are going to be other life forms. More and more, we are beginning to understand what's in the ocean because we are beginning to spend some time and money. Some of you may be involved in that, I hope so, because I think it's just absolutely fascinating when you start to go, there's the water, and then there's what they call, some of you know this, the twilight zone, because you're right there at the level. And then you go below that, there's no light. And so everybody says, well, you can't see if you go below that. On the other hand, somebody can see if you go below that because there's a whole community down there. And so somebody has to, some life form is functioning down there. We're just not aware of what it is, and we don't know how to talk about it. But I want to go into space. I really do. I just think it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing to just, I'm not busy tomorrow, Somebody said, well, you can take it. So I kind of like the idea of just seeing. I've been up at 70,000 feet, and at 70,000 feet, you can see the curve of the Earth, as some of you know. I hope they bring the SST back, supersonic transporter. I really hope they bring it back, because if they would, then most of us could take it. Like you'd go to London, it would be like a 2-hour, And I think that's incredible, because otherwise, you're sitting on the plane, and you're not going anyplace. Or you're going someplace, but it's slow. Well, I guess that's not fair. It's faster than it used to be when you had to get on a boat, especially the one called Titanic. But Stardate. This is not a poem. This is hot chocolate at the beginning of spring, topped with hand-whipped double cream, a splash of brandy to give it sass, and just a little cinnamon to give it class. This is not a poem. This is a summer quilt, log cabin pattern. See that corner piece? That was grandmother's wedding dress. That was grandpapa's favorite Sunday tie. That white strip there is the baby who died. Mama had pneumonia, so that red flannel shows the healing. This does not hang from a museum, nor will it sell for thousands. This is here to keep me warm. This is not a sonnet, though it will sing. Precious Lord, take my hand. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Go down, Moses, way down to the past, way up to the future. It will swell with the voice of Marian Anderson, lilt on the areas of Leontine Price, dance on the trilling of battle, do the dirty with Bessie Smith, rap its way into the future, into the 90s, and go on in outer space with Etta James saying, at last. No, this is not a planet. But the truth that comes from the beauty, and only sometimes is the authentic voice of the planet Earth. It comes from the black soil, mined and tilled by the daughters of the diaspora. This is a rocking chair. Rock me gently in the bosom of Abraham. This is a bus seat. No, I'm not going to move today. This is a porch where they sat spitting at fireflies, telling young Alex the story of the African. This is a hook rug to cover a dirt floor. This is an iron pot with the leftover vegetables, making a slow cooking soup. This is pork simmering chitlins, surprising everyone with our way to make a way out of no way. This is not rest when we are tired. This is not rest when we are tired, when we are weary, nor comfort when we are tired, when we are confused. It is the keep moving child. It is keep climbing child. It is keep climbing child when the road is hard. It is the faith of our mothers who plaited our hair, put Vaseline on our faces so that we could wear coats, who wore sweaters so that we could wear coats, who welcomed us and our children when we were left alone to rear them, who said, get your education and nobody can put you back. This is not a poem, no. It is a celebration of the road we have traveled. It is a paper. It is a prayer for the roads yet to come. This is an explosion, the original Big Bang that makes the world a hopeful place. This is the Black woman. It is in all our trouble and glory, in all our past history and future forbearance, in all our trouble in all our forbearance that made love a possibility. This is about us. Bleached and natural, braided and straightened hair, made up or beaten up faces, tall, short, stately, bent, CC riders, junkies, whores, wives, mothers, grandmothers, aunts, working in the home or outside, working in the system or outside, working, praying, working to survive, giving pride, giving succor, giving voice for encouragement, giving whatever we can give. This is a flag that we place over Peter Salem and Peter Poor, the 54th Regiment from Massachusetts, all the men and women lynched in the name of rape, Emmett Till, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. This is a banner we fly for respect, dignity, the assumption of integrity, for a future generation to rally around. This is about us embracing ourselves, and a well-deserved honor it is. Light the candles. This is a rocket. Let's ride. I really do have to keep apologizing because half the time you can't. I think that's the thing I don't like about, and I'm going like this because it's right there in your chest. If you've ever had bronchitis, don't. Because you really can't breathe. I mean, that's what you're dealing with, is you can't breathe. I miss my dog because dogs are the best nurses. And you come home and the dog is there. The dog, oh, you're home. And no, I like that about dogs. You know, that dogs don't fool you. You know, the cat, you're here. But dogs are very different. Like a fading piece of cloth, I am a failure. No longer do I cover tables filled with food and laughter. My seams are frayed, my hymns failing, my strength no longer able to hold the hot and cold. I wish for those first days when just woven, I could keep water from seeping through, repelled stains from the tightness of my weave, dazzle the sunlight in my reflection. I grow old, pleased with my memories. The tasks I can no longer complete are balanced. by the love of the task-worn press. I offer no apology, only this plea. When I am frayed and stained and drizzled at the end, please, someone, cut a square and put me in a quilt that I might keep some child warm, and some old person with no one else to talk to will hear my whispers and cuddle near. I like that.